Hey everybody, so today we have another little widget for the Ruger PC Carbine that the guys at CROM USA have come up with, and this time it is the Glock or Glock magazine catch. So let's talk a little bit about the two different mag catches. Right on the left here I have the stock Ruger mag catch, and on the right is the CROM Glock. And well, the whole purpose and philosophy behind this Glock is we're changing this main catch piece from metal to plastic, and that's so that when you use a magazine with a plastic body like a factory Glock magazine or these mag pulls here, that this metal catch doesn't wear down the catch grooves on your magazine. And CROM will say that this was born about for California shooters, folks who have Freedom Week magazines, or magazines that are standard capacity that they were able to legally buy during a very short window, because quite frankly, being in California, we can't replace them. And I looked at all of my plastic body magazines, and I can't say I really saw much wear on my mag catches. But then again, I don't really shoot all that often, and some customers of CROM's that are more regular in how they get to go out and enjoy it, they have seen some issues with this factory Ruger catch wearing down the catch points on their plastic body magazines. Now, if you're using just metal body magazines, by all means, sure, just stay with the factory mag catch. There's no need. But due to the proliferation of factory Glock mags, as well as these mag pulls and other plastic mags like ETS or whatever, it makes sense to have this plastic mag catch so that you're not prematurely wearing down your magazines. Normally you think of a magazine failure, you think either feed lips or let's say maybe the spring or something. You don't really think about the catch itself. So let's reduce the amount of failure points by using this Glock here. Anyways, looking at these actual parts, we can see that on the button side, CROM is using a slightly textured pattern, just like the factory button, but they're both made of plastic, but they're different plastics. We can see that the factory piece is just like an injection molded part, and CROM, they're using a 3D printed magazine catch. And I don't know how well you can see this, but if you can kind of see there's texturing because of how a 3D printer prints. So it kind of gives like a secondary texture in addition to these main grooves up top. Even all the little filled in parts have a little bit of a texture to them. So it's actually a little bit grippier than the stock magazine button. In addition, if we look at it from the side profile, you can see that it is a little bit thicker as well. So this will protrude a bit more. So if you're kind of feeling around for it, it'll give you a little bit better tactile location telling you when you've reached it. If we look at the center section, right, the center section of the Ruger is this steel part, and you also have this nice steel tube that's very rigid on the CROM as well. So I have no issues or concerns about this getting bent or something over time. It's plenty strong. Looking on the other side, right, we have the actual catch side itself. They're pretty similar. Obviously this is once again 3D printed plastic on the CROM Glock versus this metal with looks like recesses for lightening the piece. Versus the CROM, since it's 3D printed plastic, well, it's much lighter overall just in general because it's not solid metal. But that said, I really have no qualms about how strong this piece is. It's not 100% fill. I think it's in the 80 to 85% range, but that's still plenty. It's not going to break on you. I'm trying to squish these ends together and see if I can get something, but I'm pressing pretty hard, and this thing is staying solid. So I have no qualms or no concerns about the strength of this piece. And the design also makes it very easy. Let's say if something ever did happen, okay, you get another catch piece sent out and you screw it on, and you're good to go. So it's pretty easy. One thing that is a little bit different from the CROM Glock to the factory magazine is the screws that they use to attach these buttons to the center metal piece. They use a 3/32 hex instead of that 5/64. So it's a little bit larger of a hex screw size, which is actually kind of good because I hate hex because of how easy it can be to strip it, and especially when you're dealing with low torque fasteners like these, it's always a little bit better to have a bit bigger of a hex head, so that way you're not at risk. So you can see I used my 3/32 hex just to loosen it up, and I'm just spinning the rest off by hand. And another thing that's kind of cool about this is look just how long of a screw CROM is using. Like, this is much longer than factory. So you can see how much thread engagement this part has. So you can see it is very well supported inside of this metal tube. And actually, let me see if I can get this factory Ruger one apart just so I can show you how much more thread engagement there is. Here we go. So there you go. You've got like double the thread engagement on the CROM part as you do on the Ruger factory. So definitely no worries there, and quite frankly I think CROM can get away with using a shorter screw. Now let's say for some reason you want to take this CROM mag release button, 3D print one, and pair it with the original Ruger factory mag release. You can. I mean, the part will sit on there in the same way the stock button will, but you will need a different type of screw. So the screws on the factory mag button and the CROM, they use the same thread pitch. However, this, as you can see, is a tapered head screw, and on the factory one, well, it's just like it's just a cap end, right? There's no taper to it, and the inside of this button is recessed. So that it's supposed to match with this tapered end. So you'll have to get a new one of these screws that's a little bit shorter, because this amount of thread is a little bit too long, and it'll bottom out in the stock mag catch piece. But just a little fun fact in case you wanted to swap that over. Alright, so if you have a CROM PC Carbine chassis like I do already, we're going to have to separate the barrel from the chassis itself, because we have to take the receiver out of the chassis. If you just have the normal Ruger stock, well, then you don't need to do that, so just skip ahead a little bit. But anyhow, for this guy, we have to lock the bolt back, and then we go ahead and separate the barrel assembly from the chassis, and then we'll go ahead and flip it over, and then we can take our 5/32 hex and undo these two bolts that hold the receiver into the chassis. With those two bolts loosened, now we can go ahead and take the receiver out of the chassis, and then we can take our 5/64 hex and undo the mag catch button. And this is the same whether you have a Ruger stock or this CROM chassis. We can take the stock button off, which is also plastic. Take our spring out, and on the other side, you see I'm gonna have to push this bar in pretty far to get enough clearance so that I can take out the catch, and that's because I slotted these two teeth in here into these inner grooves on the catch part. With the regular PC Carbine chassis, you don't have that, so that's why it's a lot easier to take it out. Okay, so let's get to installing the actual G-lock magazine catch into the chassis or stock now. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to actually take your 3/32 hex wrench and undo both screws on this main cylinder piece. And if you're asking, well, why do I need to do that? Right, like the original catch, this side is integrated into the center. Because these guys thread into this tube, we want to secure them. And for this side in particular, what I found is if I try and torque this to the 15-inch pounds that the factory spec calls for, this tapered head screw actually starts to dig into the button material here, and can start to put some stress marks on it. So instead of doing a 15-inch pound torque on this, what we're going to do instead is we're going to grab some Loctite 242, also known as Loctite Blue, and I'm just going to put a dab of that, oop, that's a pretty darn big dab, onto the button itself, and then I will go ahead and screw that into this main middle cylinder section. And then what we'll do is we'll just screw this in so that it's just hand tight snug. You know, we're not going to try and get it to, you know, crank it down in there. Just, you know, get it nice and snug against that tube. Once that's been accomplished, we can go ahead and flip the chassis over, or your stock, depending on which one, and then we can just, you know, just simply drop it in. Unlike the, you know, stock mag release or mag catch, right, which had these cutouts here, which we had to slot the teeth of this release bar on the CROM chassis into. For this button, you can just drop it in, so it's a lot simpler. And then we'll go to the other side here, and we'll take the spring, put that on there. And then once again, we're going to take the screw and we're going to put a dab of Loctite 242 blue on there. And then we can go ahead and start screwing both halves together, but I need to go to the back side and keep this pushed in so that it sticks out. There we go. Now I can go ahead and take the button, get that on, and compress the spring so that I can take my 3/32 and screw that down till that button is secure. All right, now we can see we have, you know, both sides screwed into our stock or chassis, so you're basically done if you have the stock chassis, or the stock rather. And then, you know, I'm pressing here, you can feel it moving, so I know it's good. If you have the CROM chassis like I do, now what we're going to do is we're going to put the receiver back in. So we'll just go ahead and simply drop that in to the top, and we'll flip things over so that we have our two 5/32 screws exposed, and we'll go ahead and take our hex and get those tightened back up. And then we can finish off these 5/32 screws by torquing them to the final torque spec, which is going to be 65 inch-pounds or 7.4 Newton meters. And then lastly, if you've got a CROM chassis like I do, we can go ahead and put the barrel assembly back together. So there you go, that's the CROM G-Lock mag catch installation. And you can see I've got my magazine here, and I can go ahead and insert that, pull on it, you know, it's in there firmly, press my trigger bar down, or my mag release bar down, and it releases just like normal. Do that a couple times, no problem. Also can do it on the other side, right, with this button over here. So I can go ahead and press the button, and mag comes right out. So it works both ways, no lost functionality, and I don't have to worry about wear on my magazines. So, you know, time will tell, but yeah, I'll be using this, and you know, it seems like it's a worthy upgrade, especially if your magazines are something that are really difficult to replace.